is a loser. He's out of there.
And welcome back to yet another Buffalo Bills pregame. I'm your host, Randy Williams, back after a 1-week hiatus. I got Dan with me and joined by our producer, Jared, this week to talk about the big Bills victory over the evil Galactic Empire, the New England Patriots. I think, Jared, you're the most fired up over this. So, Jared, hot take. What do you think? What are the emotions of having seen the Bills defeat the Patriots in the playoffs?
I mean, I just went back a few days ago, actually today, I went back and I looked at like all the losses of the Patriots over the past 15 years and how very few and far between they are. You know, obviously we had like almost a 10-year stretch where they didn't win the Super Bowl. So obviously they kept losing, but to be one of those teams, like every year, it seems like I have a big Facebook post that says, like, come on, like, do it for America, like, beat the Patriots, you know? And now we got to be that team that gave the world a favor. Like, we took away the Patriots. So you are welcome, world. We did something good for you.
Dan, any thoughts about the Patriots game right away?
No, I think this in how many different ways that game went. I think every single part about that game was every single Bills fan's dream. The way that the Bills have been treated, the last 20 years by the Patriots, getting the score ran up on us, 56-10. You can go on and on about that. So it's finally good to end their season, give them a taste of their own medicine. I think there was a Ryan Clark tweet that I thought really it summed it up perfectly. I think it was something along the lines of, he was saying, the Bills are beating the Patriots right now for the sins of their ancestors. And I thought that was the most accurate thing because it really was true. It was like every single thing that the Patriots had done to us and tortured us with, we put that all to bed on Saturday night. And I think it was the greatest feeling for every Bills fan.
Jared, when you look back on this game and any amount of, X amount of time, 10 years, like, what do you think will be the thing that is like most memorable about this game?
Oh, the most memorable part of it? Well, it's going to be the cold weather. It was the second coldest game. So that's going to stick out to a lot of people, not to mention we won by 30. So it's going to be a combination of those two things. I think the other part of it is just like seeing the Patriots fans be all brats about this whole thing. Like, I've been seeing, Dan and I we were talking about this before we started. Dan and I disagreed a little bit. Like, I've seen them be like, oh, like they weren't really trying and stuff like that. And to the Patriots fans' credit, like, yeah, like there was a point in the game where I'm like, wow, Josh has been sitting back there for 10, 15 seconds. There's like no pass rush on him. I really am surprised by that. That is a legitimate point. But like, it wasn't like the Patriots weren't trying. You know what I mean? It's not like we accidentally won the game. So I think just them complaining about it and them calling in the WGR and being like, hey, you know what? I think the Patriots fans are going to invade Buffalo tonight. Yeah. Oh, really? That happened? Sure.
All right. Jared will remember this as the cold Patriots didn't try game. Dan, what do you think will be most memorable to you when you look back on this game?
Well, I'm going to have to say the biggest part about this game, the most memorable part was once and for all, 2020, the Bills beat the Patriots twice, but it was supposed to be the Patriots off year or whatever. 2021, we lose them in terrible fashion on Monday night, and then we beat them at their place, and then we get the rubber match. And I think, after this game, once and for all, it was you guys can't hang with us. This is our division. We run it. And you guys are done. You guys are going to be looking up to us for the next, at the very least, the next 3 or 4 years. So I think that's the biggest thing is that, there's no more talk about Belichick and how genius he is. and how New England can still compete with the Bills, because we saw on Saturday night that they clearly cannot compete with the Bills. And that starts, at quarterback. No matter how good, no matter how talented the Patriots roster can get in these next couple of years, they're still going to have Mac Jones, and we're still going to have Josh Allen, and that's the biggest difference right there.
They need to erase those. They need to erase those Lombardi trophies off their plane, because, is Belichick even the reason they won any of those Super Bowls now? That's a legitimate question. Was it always just Brady the whole time? Is Belichick even a good cheating? Yeah. I mean, that's one way of putting it. Another way of putting it is, if Brady wins every Super Bowl until he retires, maybe Belichick was holding Brady back. I mean, it could be that, guys. Belichick is not who we thought he was.
All right. Well, back to the question at hand, not to steer us away from the decorations on the Patriots airplane, but so it sounds like, Dan, remember, this is the statement game. What I really think, when we'll talk about this game in the future, it'll be the perfect offensive game. And I thought for sure someone was going to say that the no punts, the no turnovers, no field goals, a touchdown every time you touch the ball until you kneel down to end the game, unprecedented in NFL history. So I think in 10 years, it'll be the perfect offensive game, is how I refer to that. But almost as memorable, I think, is going to be the appearance of another team starting quarterback in the stands, shirtless at a 0-degree game. Of course, I'm talking about the Washington football team's Ryan Fitzpatrick, former Bills quarterback, as we all remember, not so fondly, I imagine. But I think I owe Fitz an apology. He was very accessible, perhaps. I mean, we were talking before the show, and all three of us had personal stories about Fitz when he was a Bill. And I can't think of any other quarterback that I have a story about, let alone my entire circle of friends. So give him credit for being accessible while he was here, but man, he was just the epitome of journeyman, and I never really cared for him as a quarterback. Kyle Orton, I've said on this show more than once, Kyle Orton is my favorite Bill of the drought, because I love, if for no other reason, just the fact that he chose just to retire than come back for this impotent franchise that we'd had for such a long time. And I think it is so representative of being a Bills fan throughout the drought. But Fitzpatrick showing up to that game, albeit in the heated seats in the club levels, but shirtless, you have to love the guy. You know what I mean? I kind of changed my opinion of him when he showed up in Tampa Bay with the vest and the chest hair exposed and sunglasses. He's got a pretty good sense of humor, but clearly bringing his kid here to a Bills playoff game against the Patriots, he knew what the crowd was going to be like. He wanted to share that with his kid and show him what real football fans do when their team's there. So I think after this week, as much as I hate to say it or hate to admit it, I think Fitz is now my favorite Bill of the drought. So I know you watch all the time, Ryan. Thank you. My understanding, though, is that we haven't won the Super Bowl yet. There is a game coming up this week. We are facing a team in Kansas City, and they've been done okay the past few years. We already played against them in Kansas City this year, where we're playing again. Dan, we'll start off with you this time. What are your thoughts about the matchup, and are we going to be able to dictate the pace of the game the way we did the first time around?
I think throughout the offseason, what the Bills did in free agency, what they did in the draft, it really seems like they saw, they watched their game against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. They saw how that went. They saw how the Bucs played the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, and they saw how they were able to really contain Patrick Mahomes. And they said, okay, that's what we have to do. We need to get a stellar pass rush, stop Patrick Mahomes. So it seems like a lot of what the Bills did in the offseason was so that they could become built to beat the Chiefs. They could get their team together. So for this very game in the playoffs, they could overcome the Chiefs. So we'll see. We'll see how that adds up. Obviously, the way that Josh Allen and the offense played first time around against Kansas City earlier in the season. If we can get another performance like that, then I think not only can the Bills beat the Chiefs, I think the Bills can beat just about any team in the NFL.
Jared, same question.
I mean, what's crazy about this matchup is that the teams are so closely aligned. Like, in other words, like they have the similar game style. Like, if I had to predict this game, I would say it would end in a tie, but obviously it can't because it's the playoffs. So I went back and I looked at what happened in the first game, and what I noticed was that there were the key difference was turnovers. They turned it over, 2 fumbles lost, 2 interceptions. We did not. If they don't turn the ball over, who knows what the score is? We won 38-20 the first time. If they don't turn it over, if it's mistake-free versus mistake-free, I think it's about even. So I think it's gonna really come down to who makes any mistakes. If the Bills make a mistake, they're gonna win. If they make a mistake again, we'll win.
All right. The only injuries the Bills have right now are both on defense. Of course, Trey White is still on the injured reserve. Mario Addison is listed as day-to-day. Does this impact our pass rush? Are Boogie, Basham, and Obada going to be enough to get to Patrick Mahomes? Jared.
I think so. I mean, Boogie did some stuff in the last game against the Patriots. He's been on the bench most of the season, so at least he's rested, so that's a good thing. It's like Dan was saying earlier. We drafted the design to put that pressure, just like Tampa did during the Super Bowl, and I think that's what we're going to do against Patrick Mahomes in this game.
Very good. Dan, any thoughts on the injuries, the defense side of the ball affecting the Bills?
I think the Bills did such a good job over the offseason of, creating depth on the defensive line. We had so many guys in the preseason, they didn't know what to do almost. It seems like, they had to trade Darryl Johnson away to Carolina, who I thought was a decent player. And it seems like every week they don't know, because they had to put someone on, inactive. It seems like every week they don't know who to put on the inactives because they have so much depth at that position, which is exactly what you want for a game like this, though. You want guys rotating. You want guys staying fresh, because the biggest part about containing Patrick Mahomes is keeping him in the pocket. And when he rolls out, when he gets time, that's where he's so deadly, because then he's able to find a guy 40 yards down the field that no one's covered. So if we can keep Patrick Mahomes in there, that's gonna be a key. And I think being really physical with the Chiefs receivers is gonna be huge. I think that's what the Bucs did a really good job of in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs as well, was they were really physical with the Chiefs receivers, and that kind of messed up their rhythm. So I definitely think the Bills defense has been getting better throughout the season, and I think that's going to be really big as well. To go off of Jared's point, I think Boogie Basham has been playing his best football these last few games, and that's really good to see with how he had a little bit of a shaky start, it seems like, in the beginning of the season. So definitely excited for those young defensive players. But, I don't think the Mario Addison injury, if he doesn't end up playing, I don't think it'll kill him. Obviously, it doesn't help, but I think the Bills will still be in good shape.
We'll mark you down as containing Patrick Mahomes as your key to the game. Jared, any key to the games for you?
No turnovers. Just like I said before, like, we guys have a mistake-free game. As long as the Bills can play a clean game of football, then we should be in good shape.
All right. Does that mean you're picking the Bills, Jared?
This was probably one of the hardest picks I've had to go through. Like, I had to really take myself out of the equation and look at both teams. Chiefs are home, but what team's really the better team? And when I really look at both teams, I come to the conclusion that the Bills are the better team, barely. So if they're the better team, I don't think I can pick against them. So I'm going to go with 30-29 Bills.
Ooh, just barely.
Yeah.
Was that your exact score, Dan?
It was pretty close. I was going to go with 31-29 Bills. I don't know. I think if Josh Allen can even play at 80% of what he played at Saturday night, I think there's just no way that you could stop that offense. It seems Josh Allen, I think Patrick Mahomes can do some things that Josh. I don't even want to say that. I don't think that might even be true. I think Patrick Mahomes might be a tad bit more accurate with throwing the football. But Josh Allen can do things on the ground that Patrick Mahomes can't even come close to. So, Bills 31-29. I'm just not going to.
I'm going to go with a more low-scoring affair, winter conditions. We'll call it 23-20 Bills. But no matter what, it seems like the Bills are winning, which means we'll be back for another Buffalo Bills pregame show with any luck, again at home against the Bengals. So this week, go Cincinnati, go Buffalo, go Bills. Woo! Oh, is this what I'm supposed to do it? Ah!
Yeah.
Ah! Go Fitz.